It's Thursday, October 13th, 2022, and this is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Fall River police are investigating a homicide which took place over the weekend. The victims of domestic violence are remembered at a city ceremony, and voters will have a say next month on a ballot initiative for the city to join the MBTA. All this and more coming up. 3 men were arrested this week in connection with a homicide outside a city bar on Sunday morning. 36-year-old Anthony Miranda was arraigned on manslaughter charges in the death of 45-year-old Jose Roberto Zelaya, who was shot outside the Riverside Sports Bar and Restaurant following an altercation early Sunday morning. Also arrested in connection with the altercation were 42-year-old Luis Colon Delgado and 23-year-old Jose Pagan, both of Fall River. All 3 defendants pleaded not guilty. Fall River City Councilor Pamela LaLiberte was in district court this morning to be arraigned on charges she harassed a Westport woman and intimidated witnesses in the case. Defense attorney Frank Camera has filed a motion to dismiss the charges, and the case was continued until December 2nd. Councilor LaLiberte is accused of sending harassing calls and text messages to the wife of an ex-lover in Westport and impeding the investigation. The city of Fall River last week remembered victims of domestic violence at a ceremony recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month held outside Government Center. The event was co-sponsored by the Greater Fall River Domestic Violence Coalition, which is made up of local service organizations and advocates that support victims and promote greater awareness of not remaining silent in the face of abuse. Jennifer Dias was the keynote speaker at the event. She lost her sister Jessica at the hands of her fiancé 18 years ago.
There was no evidence of abuse, verbal, emotional, or physical at the time. We discovered she was a victim of domestic violence after her death by the detectives of Fall River. And honestly, I still struggle with this. I will say, hindsight is 20/20. And I do look back and recognize moments of gaslighting, deceit, alienation from her family, and just subtle changes. Only now, after understanding domestic violence, do I recognize this. Looking back, maybe I would have recognized that she spoke softer when her abuser was around. She didn't laugh quite as loud. I could have probed further when I noticed the random bruises on her body, or reminded her a million more times that we were always there for her. I believe she lived a life of an abused woman out of love and fear. She loved her babies so deeply she wanted to keep her family together, and she wanted so badly to fix him, truly because she loved him. She thought she was protecting her family by staying, but who was protecting her?
Ms. Dias says Jessica's story is one that should be a reminder for all not to remain silent and be aware of potential signs of abuse.
Her story can save someone else because I refuse to let her life be lost for nothing. The fight didn't end when her life did. The fight continues on. For every single person without a voice, for every person that has had their light dimmed by an abuser, for every single child that has been affected by this, I refuse to let them fight alone. You may wonder what you can do. A lot of people don't know where to start, what to do. You can talk to your children. You can educate them on violence in all forms. Emotional, verbal, physical abuse. And if you aren't sure what to say, that's okay. There are resources to help with this. I ask that you check your workplaces, question your human resource departments on what resources are available to your fellow employees. Push to make these resources known. You'll be surprised how many people need them.
In conjunction with the awareness event, Government Center is hosting the Clothesline Project, a visual display of shirts to represent domestic violence statistics. Each shirt is made by a survivor of violence or by someone who's lost a loved one to violence. The display will be available for viewing throughout the rest of October. The Fall River City Council this week rejected a slate of candidates to review the city's charter. The current charter was approved by voters 5 years ago and is slated for its first review over the next year. City Councilor Michelle Dion recommended the slate of 9 members be rejected because of its makeup and missing a May 1st deadline for when it was scheduled to be formed.
So here we are, 5 months beyond the deadline, violating the charter, essentially. Further in here, it's appointments shall, to the most practicable extent, assure geographic and demographic diversity of the committee's membership. I know we're not at the choice, the other 4 choices, but if collectively, if you look at the 9, I don't see the diversity. I don't see any Hispanic representation. I don't see any representation of the Cambodian community. I don't see representation of many segments of our community. So I have a problem with those things.
Mayor Paul Coogan, who nominated 5 members to the commission, says he's disappointed in the council's vote and hopes a review can move forward.
I'm thinking right now about just resubmitting those names. I think it was a good mix of residents across Fall River. I had to put someone from the school committee on there because that was part of the charter's directive, and an educator and community active people. I thought we had a good cross section of the community. It's tough enough to get people to go to work on our boards, and these people all were willing to serve. So I don't know, I doubt they had problems with any one of the individuals. I never heard a word from anyone on the city council regarding any concerns about those names when I sent them down. I know that most of those people are very well known in the community. And again, if one of the councils had an issue, they should have given me a buzz and said, hey, what about this or what about that? And we'd work together to fix it.
More now on some of the candidates and ballot issues you can expect to see when you go to the polls to vote in the September 8th state election. We start this week by looking at the only local referendum Fall River voters will consider. It asks residents whether Fall River should become a member of the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, or MBTA. Membership is a requirement for the proposed launching of South Coast Rail late next year. Paul Chase of the Rail to Boston Coalition, which is in favor of passing the referendum, says there was an oversight in not seeking voter approval earlier. Regardless, he says, the benefits of having rail in Fall River is one of access.
Improved access for jobs, additional jobs, improved access for additional critical health care. We have a lot of great health care down here and a lot of specialties, but there are far more in the Boston area. There are more opportunities for colleges and universities right through the Route 24 belt. It stops at Bridgewater State College. It goes right by UMass Boston and then goes into Boston. And then finally, increased tourism revenue for small businesses in Fall River. I mean, it's that economic development that you were talking about, the growth back and forth, but it's also for the residents of the city as well. That, there are a lot of residents that don't own cars in the city. I mean, they take the bus every single day. They're not afforded the ability to go to Boston without a huge issue. In this point, they could get on the train and go.
Nelson Vasquez, who represents Time to Bail, Vote No on South Coast Rail, says those who have supported South Coast Rail have not done enough research into any potential negative impacts rail service could have for the people of Fall River.
Our elected officials have to go into this with a critical eye. Mm-hmm. You have to ask all of the questions, get all of the details, and no one from the other side has even refuted what I said. Yeah, last year, when this Section 3A passed, there was a huge influx of real estate development into our community, a huge of out-of-state investors coming in buying up real estate. And what a coincidence, on Friday, we had someone who was involved in real estate advocating to bring the rail here. Mm. That's what also caught my eye. Right. There's just so many unknowns, and it's just, we have to take control of our city's future now, today, because we're dealing with our own financial obligations.
There's been a dispute as to how much welcoming South Coast Rail to Fall River will cost the city. Mr. Chase says the city's MBTA assessment is absorbed through its yearly payment to be part of the service provided by the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority, SRTA.
Fall River already pays into the regional transportation assessment. And it is my understanding, after talking with the folks in the Fall River City Hall and Mayor Coogan's office, that they already pay the maximum amount. There's a cap based on the size of the city. I don't know if it's population or size, but there's a cap on what you can pay for your regional transit assessment, and they've already paid it. So this essentially will not increase because Fall River is going to join the MBTA community.
Mr. Vasquez disputes that claim, saying the city's assessment will change once it becomes an MBTA member.
The 600,000 or the 900,000 that was referenced in the newspaper recently, it's going to change because, that fund goes up 2% annually. We have rich communities already in the MBTA complaining about what they're paying,
Right.
and they're paying a pretty penny.
Right.
So that's why it's been zero for so long, because we're not part of it. But once we're part of it, that gets put into the mix. Inflation is added into the mix.
Right.
And we all know how it is right now. So, to tell the people that this is not going to cost any higher than what it is today is a disservice to the community.
Mr. Vasquez is also concerned about the rights the MBTA may have when it comes to development near local train stations. He fears new housing developers will make it hard for local residents to find affordable housing.
The MBTA will not bring in affordable housing because not too long ago on August 10th, the new guidelines came in and it said that, once these developers get their building permits, they can move forward without any need for a special permit, variance, zoning amendment, waiver, or other discretionary approvals. This removes local control. I'm not against anyone making money. I'm just against developers making money off of the backs of the taxpayers. Because at the same time, as they go on with this, the taxpayers of Fall River are going to be paying this debt every single year that's going up.
Right.
That is a very serious red flag for me as a constituent. And it's just, and for our state delegation to pass this,
Right.
to move forward after they get the building permits, it's just, granted all these waivers, that's not fair.
Mr. Chase responds by saying more housing options will benefit city residents.
Market rate housing is not a bad word. What market rate housing does is allow people that are in apartments to move into their first home, and that allows other people to move into the apartments that are taken up by first-time home buyers that can't find a home. There is a whole level of inventory from multifamilies to market rate to low income. All of it is needed in the city of Fall River, just like it is in New Bedford, because there is not enough to take care of the population we have now.
Another local race Fall River residents will weigh in on is for Bristol County Sheriff. Democrat Attleboro Mayor Paul Heroux is looking to unseat Republican incumbent Tom Hodgson. Mayor Heroux has experience working in a correctional facility in Philadelphia before becoming state representative in Massachusetts and now mayor of Attleboro. He says his experience in measuring results and handling inmates will make the Bristol County Prison more effective. He believes Sheriff Hodgson's tough talk on crime has not served the county well.
It's a political talking point that people like. People want offenders to be held accountable. Absolutely. And I don't disagree. If you've committed a crime and you've been sentenced, you should do the time. We're not in disagreement about that. What we do as a jail administrator, as a sheriff, with those people while they're in our custody, that's where we're different. His attitude, the incumbent's attitude, is I'm going to make life miserable for you. If you don't like it, don't come back. I'm tough on crime. That's his attitude. My attitude is when you have 80% of the people who have some type of substance abuse issue or mental health issue, those folks, they don't, that kind of tough guy attitude, it doesn't work for them. It's not effective. So you really need to address their crime needs, the things that are causing the crime in the first place, to actually help reduce it. Talking like a tough guy doesn't mean you're actually reducing crime. It sounds good. It feels good to the voters. Oh yeah, he's looking out for us. But where's the proof it works?
Mayor Heroux says he will make it a priority to ensure relationships with local police departments are effective.
The relationship between the sheriff and the municipalities should be one where the sheriff is working with the police departments on transporting inmates that are locked up and being brought to the jail for holding. What happens right now, and I've heard from several police chiefs and several town managers, and is that the local police will bring somebody to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office won't receive the detainee, the inmate, the arrestee, because they just they weren't ready for him. And I've heard that many, many times. So that's very frustrating for police chiefs, and it's something that certainly needs to change. But a sheriff should use that position to foster relationships within the community with nonprofits and organizations to help facilitate reentry. That's just not happening right now.
Mayor Hero is looking to foster a constructive relationship with current staff and correction officers.
Important to listen to what their needs are. You have to make sure that they have the adequate staffing and adequate equipment. It's just like with my fire department and my police department. Equipment and staffing, those two things we can't neglect. Other things we can negotiate, but we have to really focus on staffing and equipment, because if those are not addressed, that can be a safety issue for the correctional officers and ultimately people back in the community. So making sure we have those conversations early on with them. That's probably step one. I've had a lot of correctional officers reach out to me. A lot of them are disgruntled. They don't like the conditions, and I take that with a grain of salt, because they are these employees who have been passed up for a promotion? Are they employees who are just disgruntled because they were disciplined for something? I take that with a grain of salt. I listen to what they say, but I also want to keep in mind that it might not be the full representative picture. So that's why I look forward to actually becoming sheriff, so I can get a better sense of the full picture.
Mayor Hero is also critical of Sheriff Hodgson in his prior role of housing undocumented immigrants at the Bristol County House of Correction in Dartmouth.
The sheriffs in Massachusetts have no statutory authority to enforce federal immigration laws. It's not part of their jurisdiction. The job of a Massachusetts sheriff is to run a county jail. Now, the incumbent likes to talk about immigration because it's a very emotional issue that people get really angry about. And so he's dangling this issue off on the side, saying, look at this immigration issue that I'm working on, which really all he can do is run his mouth. All he can do is advocacy. You really have no authority to enforce immigration law. So he's running his mouth about that. But meanwhile, the jail isn't being run as well as it could be and should be run. So, for example, with programming, discharge planning, suicides that are going on, those are problems. That's the job of the sheriff, the main job of the sheriff. So he is using that as a little bit of a distraction from the work that should be going on, and that's kind of unfortunate.
Six-term State Senator Michael Rodrigues is seeking another term representing the 1st Bristol and Plymouth District based on his experience in support of his constituents and his leadership role on Beacon Hill. In serving Fall River, Senator Rodrigues points to his successes in providing more money to the city for education and being an advocate for South Coast Rail and the economic opportunities that will hopefully come with it. He is equally proud, however, of being part of a legislature that avoids partisanship and works well with the governor.
The majority party is overwhelmingly Democratic in Massachusetts. We have some really smart Republican colleagues. My minority leader, the Senate minority leader, Senator Bruce Tarr, is probably one of the most articulate, brightest men you'll ever meet in your life. He's from Gloucester. Big, important commercial fishing fleet in Gloucester, as we have in New Bedford and on the South Coast. He's a tremendous ally. We had a Republican governor, Charlie Baker, who, by the way, again, I scratch my head, has been consistently voted the most popular governor in the whole country. And the Republican Party, the real right wing of the Republican Party, threw him away, kicked him to the curb. You're not Republican enough. You don't hate gays. You're pro-choice. You don't kill immigrants. You don't want to. You want to help. I'll say this as a Democrat. Charlie Baker has been a tremendous partner and governor, very good to Fall River in the South Coast.
Another one of Senator Rodrigues' key accomplishments is finding money for Fall River to pay for public safety.
Public safety staffing grants. Number one issue in Fall River I hear the most is public safety. And in 2011, my first term as senator, coming off on the heels of some 9C cuts, where the mayor of Fall River had to make some budget reductions in the police department and downsize, we were able to secure public safety staffing grants to help those communities gear back up. They're still there. And last year alone, $1.26 million delivered to Fall River for police and fire, public safety personnel, staffing, where the boots hit the ground, where the rubber hits the road, providing support for staffing.
Whether you're voting by mail or in person by November 8th, please visit our special Election 2022 webpage at our website, frmedia.org. There you can view complete interviews with the candidates and those who support or oppose the ballot initiatives. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Chief Financial Officer, Blount Fine Foods, located at 630 Current Road, is looking for a full-time Chief Financial Officer, responsible for providing overall strategic and operational direction to the company's accounting and finance functions. Job number 175-87915. Vice Principal, the Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking for a full-time vice principal for Talbot Middle School to assist the principal in the overall administration of the school and maintaining discipline throughout the student body. Job number 175-66913. Senior Human Resources Assistant. Amazon, located at 1180 Innovation Way, is seeking a full-time Senior Human Resources Assistant to support associates and managers with routine, day-to-day HR questions, needs, and inquiries. Job number 175-74381. Sunday Morning Child Care Provider. First Congregational Church, Fall River, located at 282 Rock Street, is looking for a part-time Sunday morning child care provider. For more information, call 508-672-5862. Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School, located at 251 Stonehaven Road, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Mathematics Interventionist, job number 175-69051. Special Education Teacher, job number 175-68004. For more information about these and other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. We are a little less than a month into fall, but the city of Fall River is making plans to handle what Mother Nature may have in store this winter. Mayor Paul Coogan says the Department of Community Maintenance, or DCM, is accepting applications from snowplow drivers looking to assist the city in cleaning streets during snowstorms. He says the city will be seeking a rate adjustment for applicants, with the city ready for whatever weather comes its way.
To look at a way to make our rental rates for snow removal equipment more competitive, and I think we're going to pretty much follow what the state does so we can get some people in here. At the same time, we're trying to adjust some of our salaries across DCM to allow us to hire more CDL drivers. As you know, we bought a ton of brand new snow removal equipment a few years back, and we want people that are qualified driving those pieces around. So maybe that kind of a combination with upping the rates a little bit to make us competitive, and at the same time getting our in-house team going and full. We need to bring in about, I think, 3 or 4 more CDLs. We may have a shot to get our way through it. We're going to get through it. It's just a matter of how we do it.
The deadline to submit a snowplow application is November 1st. For more information, you can contact DCM at 508-324-2585. The Florida Legislative Delegation, in conjunction with National Grid and Eversource, is sponsoring a community recycling drive at the end of the month. The drive will take place Saturday, October 29th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. under the solar carport at Bristol Community College. State Representative Carol Fiola says items not normally accepted for local trash pickup will be allowed to be dropped off at this event.
There is a small fee to fill your car, excluding clothing and dehumidifiers. For $15, you can bring all your stuff down. And there are some additional fees for tires and monitors, computer monitors, but we believe this will be a more cost-effective way for you to get rid of that stuff that you've been holding on to that you no longer need or want. And we know that it'll be helpful to you and your families.
Green Team Junk Removal is coordinating the pickup and disposal of the material. CEO Fred Cullen outlines how the drive will work and how it benefits the local community.
At our events, they are community driven. We set up our events in stations. One of our stations is electronics. You'll be able to bring down your electronics, okay? You'll be able to drop them off at a station, and they'll be able to be properly disposed of. I'm not sure if everyone's aware, there is a new mattress bill that's going to be going into effect, where mattresses in the Commonwealth will need to be recycled correctly. What we're able to do at these events is we're actually able to provide the constituent with a very cost-effective way of getting rid of your mattresses. We also have Habitat for Humanity that comes to these events. They're a great partner to work with, and I love their mission. When you'll bring down your furniture, Habitat will inspect the furniture. Okay, anything that they want and that they feel that could be reused and sold in their restores. Okay, to raise money for affordable housing, they will take.
Residents in Fall River, Westport, and Freetown will soon be receiving a mailing from National Grid or Eversource about the drive and how to participate. This is all part of a nationwide effort to commemorate Energy Efficiency Month. We will wrap up FRC Media News right after this.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. This here today is Deputy. Deputy is a very loving baby. He's a 1-year-old short-haired tuxedo. He loves his attention. As you see, he's not cutting me, he's actually kneading. That's something they do when they nurse as kittens. It just shows that they're very comfortable where they're at. I don't know if you can quite hear it, you might. He's purring. He absolutely loves the attention. He loves being in people's arms. But he'll do very good in the family with older children. As much love as possible that he can get. He absolutely loves reaching for loves, getting scratched behind the ears. If you want to meet him, you can fill out an application at foreverpaws.com, or you can come down to Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, and we can set up an appointment for you to come and meet him. Today we have Vinny. Vinny is about 4 months old. He's a lab mix. He came from Puerto Rico. Oh, he is a very calm puppy. He's a very small puppy. He's actually a very loving, sweet baby, as you can tell. He loves attention, especially from people. He absolutely loves other animals. This is one of the puppies that we would recommend. He can actually go home with a family with younger kids. And I mean, you can pretty much hold him any type of way you want, as you see. As long as you're holding him and giving him enough attention and love, he will absolutely adore every little bit of it. If you want to meet Vinny, you can come down to Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, and fill out an application for Vinny.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to the Fall River Public Library's annual Spooky Night, an evening of spooky stories and strange happenings that the whole family will enjoy. It is October 19th, a Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. The tickets are free, but the seating is limited, so call in advance.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.